Western Kentucky's softball's historic run came to an end yesterday when the Lady Toppers fell 13-1 to the defending national champs, Alabama, in the NCAA Tuscaloosa Regional Championship game. Chad Bishop from the Bowling Green Daily News was at the tournament and joins me now over the phone. Chad, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So what did you see from this weekend's game? They won on Friday and then fell to Alabama. Is just Alabama in a different league completely?
Yeah, they really are. I think it's pretty much went as expected. There was no doubt that Western Kentucky was the second best team down in Tuscaloosa, beat up on South Carolina Upstate pretty good, who had beat up on Jacksonville State pretty good. They only lost to Alabama 7-6 on Saturday afternoon, and really were a hit or a home run away from kind of taking that first game. But when it came time for the elimination game, it was kind of a disaster. Things went about as bad as they could in a 13-1 loss. Tried switching up the pitching rotation. That kind of backfired. But, we're looking at the big picture for this team. It couldn't have really gone any better this year, making the first ever NCAA postseason in program history, winning a regular season conference title. They had a lot to build on, and even though they lost 13-1 to be eliminated, I think they had a lot to hold their heads up about after leaving Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, you and I have talked about Emily Russo. She's coming back for her senior year, obviously, but they are going to have a big hole to fill with Mallory Solaski, the senior pitcher. She of course pitched that game Sunday. Who's going to be replacing her?
Well, they have a young girl by the name of Jana Sheff, and she's kind of their number 3. Didn't get too many appearances this year, so you'd have to believe she'll step up. She's only a sophomore. She'll be a junior, and she'll kind of fill in there behind Emily Russo, and I'm sure they'll have to go out and recruit maybe one or two. And I think that was something that Tyra Perry kind of talked at length about after the 13-1 loss to Alabama, is that Emily Russo went out there and really got knocked around a lot and looked like she just kind of ran out of steam, didn't have anything left. Pitched a lot of innings this year, had a lot of wins and really carried this team, but they need to find a pitcher or two to kind of give her some relief. Maybe pitch some of those midweek games against lesser competition so she doesn't have to go out there day in and day out. But Emily Russo will be back, and she had an outstanding year this year, and there's no doubt she'll have another great one in 2014. But like you said, they definitely had to find some depth in the circle.
Yeah, I have to think that this run has to help Tyra Perry in the recruiting. But tell me a little bit about Coach Perry and how she got to this point, because this is her, 5th or 6th season at WKU? Yeah,
this is her 6th year there. She's really, I've always told people she's got a little Willie Taggart in her, got a little swag, a no-nonsense kind of a business approach. It does things her way. Likes her team to be confident and a little bit cocky, not in a bad way. I know those girls have fun, but they go out there on the diamond with the intention of beating the other team, not just happy to be there. And she's really taking control of this program, made it her own. You can see it when they get off the bus and when they get on the field. They're not really afraid to play anybody or anywhere. You look at the schedule this year; they played games at Texas, Missouri, played against Kentucky and Louisville. Really gone out and played a really good schedule that helped their RPI and helped them get an at-large bid to the tournament. So I think it's really only a sign of things to come if Tyra Perry continues to stay in Bowling Green and really wants to build this thing into a big-time program. I think they've done it the right way in 2013.
You said stay in Bowling Green. Is softball a lot like basketball and football, where we see coaches who bring a program to prominence and then are snapped up by the bigger programs in need of some new leadership? Could that happen with Tyra Perry?
Yeah, I think it could. It always boils down to money and college athletics, and Western Kentucky just doesn't have really the budget to compete with the bigger schools. And you're never sure what a coach is really looking for. If she wants to make that bigger paycheck or just wants to compete against higher level competition. Tyra Perry played at Louisiana State University. She's very familiar with the SEC. It'll be up to her if she wants to stay in Bowling Green and kind of build this thing into maybe a South Alabama type program or Louisiana Lafayette type program where she just kind of dominates her level of competition. I think that's possible. On the other hand, I'm sure she'll definitely have the chance. There'll be some schools and programs that come calling in the offseason to check on her status and her availability. And I would not be surprised if she got a look from some other big-time programs looking for a new coach in the offseason.
Well, last thing, Chad, a lot of times we see these teams who have these breakthrough seasons, and it can go, one of two ways that following season. They can crash back down to earth, or they could continue to build. I always like to look for how the teams handle their last game and kind of the post-game reaction, especially when it's a loss. What did you pick up from the returning players? Were they satisfied with what they had done, or are they hungry for more?
A little bit of both. I think they realized, like I said, the big picture. They realized they had never been to this point before, and they were really excited to be in a regional, see what it was all about. Really felt they had let one get away when they lost 7-6 on Saturday in the second game of the regional to Alabama, because they had a 5-2 lead in that game. But when all was said and done, I think they looked up and said, "Hey, we got Emily Russo coming back, our ace pitcher. We have our shortstop Amanda Thomas coming back, who led the team in home runs and RBIs. Our leadoff hitter Presley Cruz will be back. She hit 2 home runs in the regional opener. They got a lot of talent coming back. They only lose 6 seniors, 6 big seniors, but they have some talent there to come back in 2014 and kind of repeat this thing." And senior Ciara Garcia said she'd already talked to a lot of the younger players who said, we want to keep this thing going. We don't want to be a one-hit wonder, and we want to make this an annual thing here in Bowling Green.
Right, and I'm sure for some like Presley Cruz, who's from Alabama, losing that final game against Alabama, that's got to be some extra motivation too. So, we'll be following that next year, and Chad, we'll be talking to you as football season begins to heat up in the fall. So thanks for doing this.
No problem. Thanks for having me, as always.